Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And my name's Jacob Pure. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Well, here, Jake, we've got a little rally here. Or actually, we got a little bit of sell-off here overnight. I've got stuff on my screen here, can't really see. We're down 2 points, 16.90 and a quarter. Overnight range has been 16.93 and a half. We've been as low as 16.87 and a quarter, so just down a couple points here. How you doing this morning, Jake?
I'm doing pretty well, just kind of getting ready for this market open.
So let's just move into some of the market movers we have here this morning. I'll just start with Apple, actually, just because Apple did peel off a little bit there yesterday. We had talked about this on the charts, obviously the 500 being huge psychological resistance there. 2 days ago with the news, it got up to 496. Yesterday, which is somewhat concerning, it got up to 495.47. So there is that potential, you could say, if you're a technician looking, oh, there's a little double top under 500 there. Yesterday's low was 487.82. If the Bulls want to have a case here, I think it's got to hold yesterday's low of 487.82, because if that gives way, then you have a lot of air down to the low of on the 23rd of 482.60.
Now, as far as Apple goes, we do have a little bit of news out this morning. IHS kind of broke down the iPhone 5S, trying to figure out what the bill of materials is looking like there. It says the 5S carries $199 bill of materials, so that's what runs them to make. Now, the 5C is what's really interesting to me here. The 5C 16 gigabyte is running $173 bill of materials, while the 32 gig iPhone 5C is running 183 bucks. So it looks like margins on the iPhone 5C are much lower than expected, while the iPhone 5S is carrying pretty solid margins there.
We'll keep an eye on Apple here today with all the news. Obviously, there's always some type of news, it seems like, on Apple breaking every day. This doesn't really seem to be moving it around too much. It's down 10 cents here, so just kind of trading down a little bit with the overall market as well. Some of the earnings stocks, there was some big ones here. We have AutoZone that reported here this morning, and stock has reported pretty decent earnings there. Do you have those earnings in front of you, Jake, for AutoZone, AZO?
Yeah, the fourth quarter report did come in this morning. Beat a little bit on the bottom line. It was 10.42 is what it came in at. Street was looking for 10.38, so a beat of a little under 0.4% there. Revenues came in exactly in line at 3.10 billion there. The prior report last year was 2.76 billion, so some nice growth on the top line, while the EPS growth was actually pretty fantastic too from last year. So pretty decent report for AutoZone there.
Has been kind of just bouncing around a little bit in the pre-market. On the initial report, we actually did spike up to 423 in the pre-market. We've given back those gains. It actually is trading in the red now, down at 412. Got down to 408.51. Just looking at the technicals, you did have a low back here going back to May the 20th of 401.93. You also had a low back on June the 5th of 404.87. So call that whole 405 area initial support if the sell-off does continue. But these $400 stocks can move very, very quickly. I'd expect liquidity to be quite low actually too. So $400 is just key level here. It's psychological. It needs to obviously hold that if the sell-off really does continue. We do have some other movers here as well. A couple home builders reported earnings. We got Lennar, L-E-N reported, and also actually KB Homes reported earnings here too. KB Homes earnings 30 cents versus 21. 549 million versus 569 million. So a little beat there for KB Homes.
We did also have the Lennar earnings there for its Q3 report. It came in at 54 cents, strongly beating street estimates of 45 cents. A nice 20% beat there. Revenues on the top line came in at 1.6 billion versus expected 1.56 billion, so about a 2.5% beat there. That managed to get Compass Point bullish on the name, maintaining its neutral rating, but kind of getting ready to bump it up, so moving it to a $38 price target.
So that's what's moving Lennar here a little bit here this morning. Couple other earnings that I just wanted to talk about here. Some stocks that are really moving here actually this morning. Look at ASNA. We'll just bring this up. This stock is popping big time on their report. ASNA Retail Group, 34 cents versus 21, 1.2 billion versus 1.17 billion. ASNA obviously popping up here significantly, up all over 13% here in the pre-market.
What I find interesting here about ASNA Retail Group here is that its fiscal year 2013 guidance was actually lowered. It guided fiscal year 2013 EPS at $1.25 to $1.30. Well, the street was looking for $1.34. Now, usually when we get these reports, usually the street pays attention to the guidance and not the earnings report itself. Well, it was a strong earnings report. I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing a sell-off from that poor guidance.
Yeah, I guess the earnings report was just strong enough to fight that off because this is a serious pop here. Just looking over to the technicals here, we had a high on August the 1st of $19.33. We are above that right now, so that could be still a key swing number here. I mean, if you start to get above that area, then the whole $20 psychological resistance kind of comes into play here as well, if you're playing the whole numbers. If you do play just from a levels perspective, we did have multiple highs if this rally really continues, up at $20.49 on May 31st, and also $20.58 on May 22nd. So you had a kind of a double, triple top up here, and a bunch of tops actually in May, just in the mid 20s too. So it looks like if it popped another 60 or 70 cents from here, there's all kinds of resistance here higher. Another one here that's moving, CPRT had earnings and it's getting killed. Copart, just bringing up the chart here for you. Stock actually reported disappointing earnings at 32 cents versus 40. Looks like they beat on the top line but missed on the bottom line, and the stock is under serious pressure here this morning.
Another headline out of that one is that the board did say it's not going to pursue a REIT conversion there. So that's kind of important to note for all of those that were watching to see if this would be converting into a real estate investment trust.
And this stock is now trading through almost all the levels in the rally that it's had in July, August, and September, trading down into the lows that it traded at in June. It's at the lows were 30.14, so we're not quite there right now. We're bid 30.61, trading 30.71, but this whole $30 area probably becomes pretty good support if we fall another 60 cents from here. Carnival Cruise Lines, they had a disaster quarter they reported yesterday, and I mean the analysts are ganging up on it this morning here. You got four analysts headlined by Morgan Stanley and Bank of America all downgrading the stock. Obviously we had a 3-point sell-off there yesterday, and the sell-off is continuing here this morning there.
Yeah, the sell-off yesterday, I mean, the earnings report itself was actually pretty fantastic. It was the guidance that was just really abysmal there with Carnival. Really got the street bearish. What's interesting about some of these downgrades is that they're really all downgrading on the numbers themselves. So they're downgrading on the fact that just the guidance got more weaker. If you dive into the reports themselves, there's no real new thesis. They're just saying the numbers don't look as strong. And when you have a 7.6% drop yesterday purely on the guidance, and then you get another dip down this morning on the downgrades that are on the guidance itself, I think it's kind of interesting that we're not seeing more of a rally, but we are seeing a little bit of strength after hit that low of 32.30 this morning. So kind of interesting to see the street kind of quickly recovering from some of those that slew of analyst downgrades there.
And interesting in the pre-market that it did find some support in the low 32s, because in June we got down here at 2 or 3 times the 3206, 3209, 3207, so multiple times down there in the 32 handle. We did bounce out of there, like Jake said this morning. We're trading at 3312 right now. But if we drift back down there in the regular session, I think that 32 area again remains pretty good support for the CCL. We do have a merger here this morning. Looks like, well, a takeover. Looks like SYK taking over MAKO. $30 a share. Holy cow, premium here. This stock closed at 16.17, getting taken out at 30. Mako Surgical. What do you think of this deal there, Jake?
It's definitely huge for Mako. I mean, look, that's quite a premium there. Basically, 100% premium. Shares are expected to resume at 8:30. So maybe after we get some of those numbers coming from the news desk, that we can pop over to this chart and see where it opens up. But fantastic price for Mako there.
All cash deal, so I'd imagine it probably opens its bid there at 29.5, just going in for the next 3 minutes. It's going to reopen, obviously. So I'd imagine it just opens under 30. We might as well do some technicals on Striker though, because they did pay a huge premium for this, and that can sometimes knock the stocks down. We have had 100 shares just trade briefly here on Striker SYK at 69.5, so it does look like, and it is offered down at 69.5, so it does look like Striker may indeed open lower on this huge premium that they just paid for Mako. Couple other ones here I just wanted to highlight. Looking here, Men's Warehouse, MW, getting initiated with a buy at Goldman Sachs here this morning. Goldman seems to really be fading the weak stocks lately and fading the strong stocks lately. And here's a stock, Men's Warehouse, that had a breakdown day yesterday. Broke through key support, which was basically around this whole 3280 area. Broke down, got to 3246, popped up 3279, and is now obviously getting a lift with the Men's Warehouse with the initiated at Goldman. It's trading at 3345 right here in the pre-market. Just ticked up a few minutes ago to 3390. So we are going to open higher here, and looks like Goldman's trying to catch those breakdown shorts, maybe in a little bit of a squeeze here.
Yeah, the Goldman report there really is kind of focusing on how many opportunities the company has in the near future. Basically, they're saying that the fact that the company's reviewing strategic alternatives for its KNG asset, where they think they're probably going to be going for a sale there, which could represent some cash return to shareholders, and basically just focusing on their core properties that really generate the most return, which is Men's Warehouse itself and their other assets. Called Moores, which is their basically the Men's Warehouse version of Men's Warehouse in Canada. So definitely some opportunities there for sales. So they also think that the company has some excess cash that may return to shareholders as well.
Bloomberg was reporting this morning that Alibaba, Yahoo's asset, they're planning a U.S. IPO following the breakdown of Hong Kong talks. Yahoo did get a pop on this here this morning. It has traded back down though, so I'm not sure if that's just a rumor. Obviously, and the Alibaba would be a big lift if it could get and obviously do an IPO here. 31.31 is where it's trading at right now. It's just up 4 cents here, so despite trading much higher earlier on, it's actually not up that much now.
It's interesting. Looks like somebody may have known about this one yesterday. At about 12:45 p.m., we saw a big block of options contracts across the January 38 calls. It was 25,570 contracts. So absolute huge interest just crossed on that one. So someone found out that these talks were failing, and just really betting the farm on that one.
They're betting the farm on that one. Well, it's got to get a really good pop to go to 38. You said the strike was 38 on that there, Jake? Somebody's really gambling there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds more like a lottery ticket play to me, as opposed to somebody knowing someone it's that far out of the money. A lot of times with options, and even I do it myself sometimes, you'll buy these things more like lottery tickets, buy them cheap way out of the money, just on a gamble that, maybe, if this Alibaba does go public, this thing will get a huge pop, and then obviously those options will be worth some money. I think it's more like just lottery ticket playing, and it's stocks in play, you see that on, and often you do see jacked premiums. The premiums get jacked up when stocks are in play, or there's potential news events on different issues, but that's a long ways out from 31.30, so I don't know if it's going to go that high or not. I think that's a little bit aggressive.
Morning, guys. Got the durable goods orders for August in. Comes in at up 0.1%. Economists were looking for a reading of down 0.2%. Durable goods, that core number, which excludes transportation, comes in down 0.1%. Economists were looking for a gain of 1%. Also have shares of Mako reopening. Last trade at $29.56, just under that $30 bid.
So yeah, we're trading right down here at $29.55 right now. Major volume happened, 236,000 shares. Volume was basically zero before this. So in the last minute and a half, this thing, you can see the volume popping 329, 330. Going up here, trading 29.5, just about 50 cents under that takeout price. So it does look like obviously just going to trade just under there. Speaking of takeovers here, let's talk about Blackberry one more time. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about it the day before, obviously. The $9 Fairfax bid is in play. Obviously, they need to find some other people to join them if they are going to indeed make a bid for it. It looks like the market is saying that this deal may not happen here, though, because obviously it sold off a bit more yesterday. Is now trading down at $8.54. So a pretty substantial discount to the $9 takeout price. What's your thoughts on this, Jake?
Well, I definitely think it was interesting with the the preliminary numbers they released on Friday. If you notice, it was trading above above that $9
Yeah.
level, and they used that release to knock it back down there. I know there's a lot of people out there talking about this could be some collusion with to try and get that the share price below that takeout price. So it seems like a good deal to shareholders. Just thought that was kind of interesting to note because shares really got smashed on Friday on that release, and they very well could have just held that off a week until this Friday when the company reports. So, interesting little theory kind of going around between a lot of traders out there on that one.
Yeah, I still tend to think this is more like an icon play from Fairfax, just like I was saying yesterday. I think icon always comes in, accumulates a big chunk of stock, then obviously announces it or starts to press. And I still think of the Clorox case back in the day when Icon accumulated a bunch of Clorox, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to take it private. I'm going to take it private," and the stock kept getting pops. I mean, Fairfax owned 9.5% of this company. Obviously, they benefit from if the stock just got killed, they might been a little bit ticked off over the weekend and saying, "Look, we don't want our price. We want to get this higher here, obviously." So maybe they were trying to put this together through the weekend. So I don't know if it's much conspiracy theory as much as they're just trying to press their own shares higher here, and I'm not sure if they're that serious about it. So, and I think the market's starting to digest that too. That maybe Fairfax isn't as serious as they let on here, and that's why we're trading 50 cents below that potential takeout price. So we'll have to see if this continues to drift down, or if if somebody else comes to bid, or if Fairfax gets a little more serious here.
What
Um,
was the price? That was like a 30 cents a share is what they're going to be. That's all they're going to be docked for if they decide to back out of the deal. Is that what that was?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that was, but yeah, exactly. So if they can't find or can't get into it, then that's kind of a lot more return than the risk there for Fairfax here, especially when they're shareholders. And it's almost like a thing like Carl Icahn used to do that. Oh, I'll take the stock private, hoping that he's gonna obviously get some interest from other parties, maybe that maybe they'll top his bid and then take out his shares at a higher price. So, I think that's what Fairfax trying to do, like trying to get the party started almost here, hoping that somebody else will come out and maybe trump their bid. So that's why I don't think they're as serious as, the market, and that's what the market's pricing it and telling me here is that Fairfax may not be as serious as they're letting on. Let's look here at Facebook. I mean, this stock just goes up every single day. It did peel back yesterday after making a new high, but it's up again this morning. This has just been incredible strength here for the last month and a half. Got up just under $50 yesterday. Got up to 49.66 before closing fairly weak. You never like to see those weak closes because if we look at yesterday's action, stock actually was high, but then had a pretty good sell-off in the last 2 hours, actually losing over $1 in the last 2 hours to close at 48.45. It is popping up here again this morning. Is there any news on Facebook this morning there, Jake, or is that just tech?
Yeah, we did see Canaccord Genuity releasing or initiating the company this morning at a buy rating with a $60 price target, so
Whoa,
that could definitely be giving it some strength this morning.
probably. Yeah, so and it is getting a pop here. Keep an eye on yesterday's high, 49.66. We're at 49.10 right now, but we always like to look, see if things make potential double tops or not. If this pops another 50 cents, I think there could be a few people that might be trading it ahead of that whole $50 psychological level, although I think it might just be a matter of time before $50 actually does trade on this Facebook. Overall market thoughts here. Just looking at the E-minis, we're trading at 1690.75, closed at 1692.50. We talked about the 1700 level being a little bit of psychological resistance. Interesting enough, it's exactly what happened. We got up there yesterday, failed, and then started selling off in the afternoon, closing fairly weak. What's your thoughts here, Jake, on this market? Is this everybody's starting to get a little bit, not as bullish as they were a few days ago, at least?
It's really getting choppy right around that 1690 level real recently. But I mean, you've got the Congress just it halted in talks from Senator Cruz right now, or Ted Cruz, sorry, on his basic, I guess not necessarily a filibuster because it's not like a legal filibuster, but they have to be pushing out their version of the spending bill today, which I think a lot of conservatives aren't even excited about. Obviously, the Democrats are not excited about it at all. So I think that's that uncertainty may be scaring a lot of traders away from the market itself. definitely some more uncertainty as we get closer and closer to this debt ceiling debate.
And I think the whole psychological 1700 level, everybody, was pretty bullish there after they did not taper. Everybody got excited, wanted to buy, and they all bought the top. And obviously now the entire gains from that Fed not tapering are gone. And I just don't know going forward here what the news is to drive this market higher. That's why, I was bullish for a long time, but I still think the path of least resistance may actually be lower now. So not as bullish as I once was there, and we'll have to see if that is actually the case. For me to get bullish again, I want to start seeing us start getting above 1700 and start marching back, and I just don't know if I see that happening anytime soon. That's our show for today. Thanks, Jake, for filling in for us today, and we will be back at you guys tomorrow.